Hey everybody, today is May 30th, 2024. I'm Gene and you're hanging with Uncle. I apologize for yesterday's show. Had really bad cough and just didn't feel well, so I'm on the mend and I'm back and thank you for your patience. Big news today. I know everybody's probably heard it by now, but I will say his name, okay? convicted convicted felon Donald Trump found guilty today on all 34 counts. Oh, excuse me, there's that cough. But in order to fully talk about this, we have to understand a lot of things. So we need our man on the street. Brent, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, man, I know all about felons, that's for sure. And Donnie Boy finally got his turn.
you know,
Though it's just more of a glory run, I think. But yeah, little Don Juan hates de Puerto Rico himself as I don't know if it's 34 felonies, but that sounds kind of cool. Let's
yeah,
just go with 34 felonies right now.
all 34
Is it?
counts guilty. And the jury came back pretty quickly, in my estimation. I mean, honestly, I was expecting a verdict maybe tomorrow at the earliest. So this really exceeds any expectations of a final outcome that I had.
Yeah, I think it kind of came through quickly because it seemed like he only wanted to get publicity off this. He wasn't truly fighting it in a way. I mean, even though he went through the motions, it seems like he was using this as a publicity stunt almost because unfortunately, with those 34 counts, can he still run for president?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, but one thing is for sure is that this this guilty verdict in the state of New York, is not
Yep.
pardonable because it's a state conviction. It's not a federal conviction. So even if Joe Biden wanted to pardon him with his presidential powers, he could not do it.
But the governor can, right?
Only the governor can, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think the governor's friendly with him, but maybe the next one. I don't
Um,
think it matters with Dude. I really don't think it matters with Dude, just because of just this shenanigans that's been going on. For him to stall it out too in a court of law and for it to go through right now, yeah, this is all about the cell. I think I'm glad he got convicted, and he definitely deserved it. But
well,
I think
I'm saying that I think from what I watched of all of the play by play, there really was no defense. I don't know what defense he could have put on except maybe insanity. But I just want I have to say one thing first, and all this
yep.
guy doesn't know me. He probably has no idea about this show, but I have to apologize to Alvin Bragg, the DA of Manhattan, because I thought he was another weak elected official when he declined to bring these charges at the beginning. So I think
Yeah.
this is a lesson that us Monday morning quarterbacks should shut up and stay in our lane and let the people who have all the information make the decisions and do their jobs.
So not to brag about what he did, but the DA was actually didn't he run on getting elected by being tough on Trump, and then he did a pass on him, and then he went through with it, and
Honestly,
boom, now it's
again,
election time.
I don't live in New York. I don't know what he ran on. Um,
Yeah,
but like
yeah, I
he
think I
said,
vaguely
I
remember it.
remember when he got elected, he said it's not ready. When they brought the evidence to him, the attorneys in the office at the time, Mark Pomerantz, and I forget who the other attorney was, he just said it's not ready. And of course, all of us were taking it, at least I know, let me speak for myself. I was taking it as here's another corrupt elected official trying to stop justice from happening in due process and letting the American people have their say in court. And I was wrong. So I apologize, Alvin Bragg.
Yeah, I mean, he finally followed through with it. He like got his conviction. It's just the timing is shitty for me, thinking how this is going to further divide everybody. It's very confusing verdict. I mean, even though it's 34 to 0, for most people, this is going to be like, oh, they're trying to stop the election or fix the election, blah, blah, blah. That's how they're going to run with this, even though that is far the furthest thing from the truth.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
the whole timing of it, like I said, for me, I think about emergent threats, and this is emergent threat because now everyone's going to think it was a fix, this and that, and they'll be like, how could it be 34 to 0? Of course it was rigged. So that 34 to 0 is actually even worse, just because of that, as I think of it. But it was such a open and shut case. But it doesn't matter. It's how he spins it. So we'll see. I'm sure he's already figured this out, and he's ready to spin it. They're
All I
just
can
waiting for the election.
the bottom
I
line,
meant
Brent,
for the yep,
12 people sitting in the jury box heard the evidence, deliberated, asked for further clarification from the judge on a couple of topics, and came up with their verdict. So, again, I wasn't in the courtroom. I did not hear all the evidence. I'm not going to
yeah,
say it was political theater or stage. All I know is 12 people sitting in the jury box didn't think it was political theater.
yeah. I'm sure they were engrossed by it. That was a big. I mean, I could imagine as a civilian having to go through a case like that with that type of exposure and all that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's something they'll never forget, and I'm glad they went through and understand the process now.
You know,
I
I,
mean, every American should understand the process and go through a jury trial if they can, just
I
even if
agree.
you want to spectate it. Because that's about being American. I have no problem with the process, Gene. I'm not trying to like knock on it or do anything. I'm just worried, like I said, about the just a little bit about the timing, but what he did basically with this hush money too is how could how much more evidence do they need after about 8 years, especially after Cohen? This is a Stormy Daniels still, right? Is this a
Yeah.
Stormy and something
That
else?
well, it
Oh
was
my God!
Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, but they did not bring Karen McDougal as a witness because they proved it with Stormy Daniels why the case was brought, why they tried to hush her up, to cover it up, to further themselves get an election. So honestly, if you think about it, this case was about election interference, and the jury
Yeah,
found Donald Trump guilty of election interference.
yeah, because he paid for that hush money thing.
Right.
And that was the thing too, is everyone knew about it 4 5 years ago as it was going on in 2015. It didn't stop the guy before, and now he's using it again as political. I mean, he's the sneaky mother scratcher there. So I mean, I think he's just great, just milking that gravy train twice.
Well,
Nothing happened through him the first trial. This time he got 34 counts, but shit. I mean, I think isn't that guy that had the Me Too movement? The TV producer. Did he
Weinstein?
get all his? Weinstein just got all his charges dropped.
No,
Where was
no,
that at, Gene?
that's not what happened. He's getting
Okay,
a retrial in New York. His
in
convictions
New
in
York.
California still stand. Oh, wait a minute. I think you're right. His cases were dismissed, but they're going to retry him in New York. But all of his convictions in California for the same thing still stand. Those have not been overturned on appeal.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing is people think later on they could get their name cleared. It's not really about even that. Any like publicity, good or bad, we'll get you noticed, we'll get you more likes on social media, we'll create a buzz and yeah, dickhead is just Stormy. I mean, Stormy is going into court probably all dressed up to the nines. Of course, they're not going to get the other lady to show up. Only thing they need is the porn star to get to theater. So she showed up, and I'm sure if I was on the jury, I would have appreciated that.
Right? I mean, I
But
wouldn't mind having a Playboy model on there either. That's what Karen McDougal was.
oh, Karen was a Playboy. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
she
was
was.
I was
I think
thinking
she was
she
a
was
centerfold. She was definitely a Playboy model, but yeah, she was. And here's my question. I think I know where you stand, but this is just I'm throwing it out there to the universe, all right?
Okay.
And again, this is why I'm registered to vote the way I am. No party preference. I don't have a team, right? This is
Yep.
about my values and how I hold myself and can look myself in a mirror, because there's no way that I could vote for a convicted felon. How could anybody else? Where are your morals taking you if that's where you're going to say you want a convicted felon in the White House? To me, it looks the same thing. If I look in the Bible, when Pilate had Jesus Christ on one side and Barabbas on the other, and Barabbas was like Gacy or Bundy. I mean, he was murderer. He was just like the worst of the worst, right? And the crowd was yelling, "Free Barabbas." And I wonder if come November, we're going to see all these so-called high moral Christian evangelicals saying, "Free Barabbas." What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if unfortunately, if that's what they want to, the message they want to get out in their churches, I think you'll probably hear whatever the message they want to preach right now. And really, the only thing you got to do with evangelical, I mean, unless you go into one of the churches yourself, a lot of them are just watching them on TV. You could change your TV for a minute and get another perspective, just to see how other people live or whatever. If you're only watching one thing and you're getting all your news source from a trusted news source, whether it's Fox, CNN, PBS is pretty good, but if you're just getting your news from one place, you're not actually trusting your own judgment. Your trusted news source should be your mind and following stories and understanding them, not just letting processed bullshit get through to you where you're just one of the crowd. So don't be one of the crowd. Figure out exactly what Trump did and what's going on. I mean, really, from a police aspect, he's guilty in so many different ways. From a street prospect, or from a street side of it, he's not a strong leader. That guy is not a strong leader. Just because he stands in front of a podium does not make you a strong leader.
No.
A strong leader leads through example. And he's the moral compass for you. That's the person you want your children to emulate.
Right.
And you don't want them emulating that.
Right.
Right, Gene? I mean,
exactly. How can again and riddle me this, Batman? If you consider yourself so evangelical, so high and mighty and morally right, then how can you support an adulterer? That's one of the things we're not supposed to do in the 10th commandment, right? And the 10 commandments, thou shalt not commit adultery. But that's where your allegiance is going to lie. You're a hypocrite. You're a Pharisee. You're yelling "Free Barabbas." That you're small-minded and you're an idiot if you still want to vote for convict Donald Trump.
Yeah, I wouldn't probably go that far, just because people are easily led, or maybe they'll be led back the right way eventually. I mean, maybe they're not making the best decisions right now, and we're trying to give advice on how to make better decisions. I truly am, but I would hope that you as an individual will look at both candidates, any party, for face value of who the person is.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it's real easy to see. I mean, Joe has his faults right now, and I'm not.
Being. Of course, he has.
Yeah,
faults.
he's a human being, and I have my faults.
Amoral.
Everybody. Yep, But you know what? We got to go ahead and just think of the future, and I wish the best for the country. And I really think the way you should go is probably vote with your mind. I'm actually going to vote. I voted last time. I voted for Biden. I'm not going to say who I'm voting for again this time, but it's not going to be Donald Trump.
Yeah.
If Joe Biden pisses me off too much, I'll probably vote for Mickey Mouse. I'm already thinking about Mickey Mouse again. So, right now, I don't have many more options right now. I'm running out of options with, unfortunately, it's a two-party system.
Unfortunately, well, there are more parties. It's just that the media does not give them enough attention. But then when you do hear what they stand for, you think, oh my God, this person is crazy. There's no way I'm voting for a person in this party. You know, that's just my opinion. I agree with some things libertarians agree with, but not all of it. And I agree with the Green and Peace Party, but not all of it. So,
Yeah.
and again, to me, it's not about parties. It's about issues. So, for example, Texas had their primary, and there was a Democrat running in the primary who was pro GOP on their stance toward abortion, and he lost his race. So it's about the issues, and look what they stand for. But that's anyway. I'm digressing. We're getting off topic. This is all about the conviction, how you feel. Does it make you reflect? Do you have mirrors in your house? Can you look and see, yeah, that was wrong? Or are you still going to play the yeah, but what about game? Because the jury heard it. He's guilty. Now, how are you going to deal with it? Because if the first words out of your mouth are, yeah, but what about, you've lost me. The conversation's over at that point.
Yeah, well, man, I hope that the country a couple years from now will be a lot better shape. That's why I come on and do these shows with you about threats, different things that are going on. And this is a growing threat. If people are starting to go ahead and wanting to emulate a criminal and a felon, and we're spinning out of control like this, I just keep on worrying about where America is going to be this summer, let alone a couple years from now. So
I agree.
That's why we got to get a message out of, hey, let's work with each other a little bit too, so people understand, that you have time to change your decision right now. It's that nothing's should be set in stone for you right now. You should be, like I said, understanding the subject matter. Don't wait for 2 months before an election to figure out what's going on. Engage with your community. Engage with your neighbors. And that's civil society.
The people have spoken, and I think he can't dodge the other three courts that he has to sit in. The Supreme Court will have to make their ruling on this immunity case. The Mar-a-Lago case with the documents, that's going to have to go forward. I think Judge Cannon needs to go because she's obviously biased and doing everything she can to stop the wheels of justice from turning. And I don't know what's going on in Georgia. I'm just sitting here wondering what the hell they're doing. So, but at least
I don't know what that.
Yeah, at least now we know. We know what's going on. We know there's a conviction. And the thing is, a lot of these people that were involved in the New York case are involved in these other ones. Maybe not all of them, but in some way, they are involved too.
It's like a traveling three-ring circus.
Yeah, it is.
They go, they set up a big tent wherever they go, and they try to get, and then people throw money at them. They throw donations at the poor guy because he can't get elected as he's a poor felon, ex-president, blah blah blah. Yeah, I understand.
Well, I do know one thing, Brent. Today, he finally won a popular vote.
He did 12-0. You can't beat that. I mean, that's almost like a baker's dozen. I actually probably the judge even thought he was guilty, so that's probably is a 13-0 baker dozen.
I think the alternates would have voted the same way too. They came back. They asked the right questions. They wanted to hear testimony again because, if you remember in the jury instructions, Judge Mershon told them, do not rely solely on Michael Cohen's testimony. So what did the jury do? They asked to hear Pecker's testimony and then compared that with, well, what did Cohen say? And dude, they were like in sync with one another. And Pecker and Cohen have not talked in a long time. So it just corroborates everything. This is not, you can't believe Michael Cohen. This is a case of listen to the facts. The paperwork doesn't lie. The checks, the writing on the letterhead, of why they're paying Cohen and bumping his money up, and it's all right there. So I'm not surprised it was a guilty verdict. I'm surprised at how fast the verdict came in.
If I was on that jury, I would have been doing it totally different. I would be like, I want to see the whole Stormy Daniels collection, all those videos. I need some popcorn in here, kind of deal. But yeah. I don't know. I would have been I would have been looking over evidence for sure, but I don't know if it had anything to do with Trump. That's pretty easy. I'm sure there's people in there that probably mailed that in on the jury. They're probably on their phones playing some type of video game or something. Because that must have been the most slam dunk trial that they probably could ever sit through, how it played out. But man, I gotta run, brother.
All right, man. Well, you be good, and I will see you next time. I'm gonna finish up with some following words, man. So I'll talk to you later.
Okay, have a great day, brother.
All right, you too.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. So, I'm curious to know your thoughts. This is just my thoughts and how I think. It's how I was raised. I was brought up in a family of morals. My mother taught us all how to think for ourselves and not to fall into the wrong hands or fall into the wrong way of thinking. Don't join a cult, that kind of stuff. So thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. And thank you guys for listening to my opinion on this whole thing. Brent was right. I know sometimes I get carried away with my opinions. However, I stand by them. That's exactly how I feel. That's how I look at you if you are still supporting defendant, convict Donald Trump. Anyway, Zane and I will see you tomorrow. Be kind to one another. Treat each other the way you want to be treated. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and help us grow our channel. Good night, everyone.